Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our top stories. Federal Ministry of Health confirms new case of Ebola virus in Nigeria. Says doctor who treated Liberian patient now a victim. A former Chief of Army Staff challenges the National Security Advisor to come up with a new security policy for Nigeria. Residents of Omole Estate in Lagos kick against the siting of high-rise buildings in their neighborhood by the state government. And Israeli Prime Minister vows to continue military operations in Gaza until peace returns to his country. Do remember that all our top stories can be found on our website, ChannelsTV.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. And please visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We urge you also to interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS, and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. And now let's join our reporter in Abuja, Linda Akigbe. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Bimbo, and welcome to the nation's capital. The Nasarawa State Governor, Tanko Al-Makura, has appeared before the 7-man member panel set up by the State Chief Judge Layman Diko. The panel is investigating the 13-count charge of impeachment leveled against him by the State Assembly. Governor Al-Makura was at the venue of the panel alongside an entourage of political appointees. Setting out the rules, the panel chairman, Mr. Yusuf Usman, said both the State Assembly and the governor may address the panel in person or through an appointed legal representative.
I want this honorable panel to take notice that I was never served any notice by the State House of Assembly with regard to the allegations against me. I'm appearing here today in response to the hearing notice signed on me by this honorable panel. And my appearance is for the purposes of defending myself against the allegations made against me by the State House of Assembly, and also clear my name against this spurious and unfounded allegations made on me. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of this panel, without prejudice to my rights, I would like to say that I intend to challenge this violation of the Constitution at an appropriate forum, not this, and at an appropriate time.
Meanwhile, members of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly are asking for the reconstitution of the panel probing misconduct charges against Governor Tanko Al-Makura. One of the lawyers who spoke with reporters after a closed-door meeting in Abuja alleged that members of the panel are people of questionable character. But counsel to Governor Tanko Al-Makura, Honoruka Udechukwu, dismissed the lawmakers' request as spurious and lacking in merit.
Our stand is unique. The panels was wrongly set because the composition of those persons have questionable characters, and we disbanded the panel, and we advised the Chief Judge to reconstitute fresh one, which are still worthy. The Constitution spells it clearly. The people so appointed should not have questionable character. You mustn't belong to any political party. You mustn't be a civil servant or work with any public organization, and you must be a person with unquestionable character.
There is just no constitutional basis for what they are doing. I made this quite clear in a previous answer that I gave to a question about whether the Chief Judge can call back the panel. If anybody is raising an issue about the qualification of any member of that panel, he would establish it as a matter of fact before an appropriate court and seek for an order. It is only when a court makes a finding in support of the allegation of incompetence that that order can then be presented to the Chief Judge to act upon.
Some high-rise buildings are being constructed by the Lagos State government within Omole Phase 2, and the residents are not finding it funny, as they claim it violates the approved design of the estate, meant to accommodate only low to medium-rise buildings. At a protest in Lagos, the chairman of Omole Phase 2 Community Development Association, Anthony Laleye, said the state government failed to carry them along even when they made their representation.
We moved here, we were told that our CFOs read that it's a low/medium density development area. So when we came here now, people were not allowed to build high-rise building, but the maximum is 4 flats, or you have a bungalow or a duplex or single dwelling. So that was what was maintained. And as you see, I'm a practicing legal practitioner. There are so many responsible people here, businessmen, professors, vice chancellors who are here. We stuck by that because that was the directive given by government. Until about 2 years ago, that we saw this development by Lagos State. When we saw it, we were alarmed. We wrote to government complaining about the breach in the planning regulations that they themselves set. So when we wrote, nobody replied or somebody said anything. So what we did then was that we went to court. Despite the fact that we are in court, and we applied for an injunction, and the judge said, accelerated hearing, they still went ahead and were building. You can see those buildings here. They're almost completed.
There are no drainages. There are no gutters. So it means water used from these flats will be coming to the streets. And of course, you know, the place will become so messy. If it's messy now, then you can imagine what will happen by the time, you know, the flats are occupied. Most of the flats are on this Oduwaye Street. And I don't know the number, but the population will definitely increase, and this will, you know, affect the infrastructure.
Judiciary staff workers resumed at their duty post today after an industrial action which lasted 21 days. The workers had downed tools following a directive from the union leaders in protest against the refusal of state governments to obey a court order that would guarantee the financial independence of the judiciary. Channels Television visited some courts across the country, and though the turnout in most of the courts is still very low, those who resumed today say they are happy to be back at work.
The courts across the country are slowly coming back to life after a 3-week industrial action which totally paralyzed judicial activities. The courts were shut in protest against the refusal of state governments to implement an order of the Federal High Court Abuja delivered on the 13th of January, and which directed them to ensure that all allocations meant for the state judiciary would be paid directly to the heads of state courts. In Abia State, a few workers turned up at the High Court complex located along Ikotekpene Road in Umuahia. The situation is the same in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. A visit to the State Judiciary headquarters showed that some workers were back at their duty posts. The Chief Registrar of the State Judiciary, Mr. Olushola Oloyede, says the workers are happy about the suspension of the strike.
With the MOU which was signed in Abuja, I'm sure that God will take control and everything will be resolved amicably.
The Deputy National President of the Judiciary Staff Union, Mr. Samuel Adesanya, who also doubles as the chairman of the Ogun State chapter of the union, was however quick to point out that the suspension is only temporary and the workers were ready to take further steps if government defaults on the memorandum of understanding it signed with the workers, agreeing to meet their demands within 45 working days.
I know that this time around they're going to comply. There's no room for them. But in the event, we still have the big stick. The strike was only suspended. In the event they reneged in this agreement, we will not only go back on the strike, we will go back to due process by filing Form 48 and 49 appropriately and send people to prison.
The courts in Lagos, which have the busiest workloads, also opened for business. Though activities are yet to fully pick up in all the courts we visited, this might, however, not be unconnected with the fact that most of the judges and their workers have since embarked on the annual court vacation. For now, those who have resumed will attend to urgent cases and assign hearing dates for other cases. The courts are expected to fully come alive when they resume from their annual vacation in September, when a new legal year will commence. Shola Shieli, Channels Television News.
Inadequate funding and corruption in the education system are major challenges that need to be tackled if policies are to become effective in the sector. This is according to the chairman of the Senate Committee on Education, Senator Uche Chukwumerije, at the launch of the revised basic education curriculum in Abuja. Senator Chukwumerije promised that the National Assembly would endorse any new policy, such as the reduction of the 9-year basic education curriculum to 10 from 20 subjects. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
Every day, pupils at the basic education level attend classes loaded with about 20 subjects, some of them obsolete for examinations. The school children and their parents over time developed less interest in the bulk of activities. But the Presidential Summit on the State of Education in Nigeria broke the status quo with the introduction of a revised education curriculum from 20 subjects to 10.
Nigeria is very good at brilliant policies, but can never carry out. The tactics continue to change from year to year. And of course, the third is inadequate funding, of course, no. And the fourth is corruption in the system. That's a Nigerian disease.
With the support of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NERDC, students can now improve their reading culture.
The implementation of the revised basic education curriculum has been approved by the National Council on Education to commence in September 2014, beginning from Primary 1 and Junior Secondary School 1, and gradually phasing out the old basic education curriculum. We advise strongly, and I'm happy that the chairman of CBED are here and the other stakeholders, that this implementation strategy be strictly adhered to.
There are some challenges to be overcome, especially in the areas of book and reading materials that will align with the new curriculum and the training of teachers in the implementation of the curriculum. I want to assure you that the federal government is determined to surmount these challenges in due course.
Educationists have embraced the revised school curriculum, which is essential to aid development, and appeal to the government to increase allocation to education in the annual budget in order to rescue the sector. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And still ahead on the news at 10, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry predicts drop in business confidence level index in third quarter of 2014. That's some business news. Join us again.